Hello everyone, welcome to a Sportscast special. It's me, Andy Grant. I've got Gary Judge, and for this week we have Nick Peet from Fight Disciples, as it's a massive weekend of boxing. Before we get into the boxing, mate, just quickly, we won't bore Gary too much as this is going to be more boxing, but how are you feeling with the last game of the season coming up and Klopp's goodbye and all that?
I'm kind of like, it's a weird one. It's bittersweet because, I think unfortunately the season ended for Liverpool in the FA Cup setback against Man United, and since then we've just not been the same team. I know we were still in the hunt for bits, but we just haven't been the same. We haven't played the same way, and I think in the last game as well. Klopp says he's walking away because he's exhausted, and I don't think he's lying. He looks exhausted. The team looks exhausted as well. So as horrific as it will be on Sunday versus Wolves to say goodbye to, for me, probably the best manager we've had since Dalglish. It's going to be difficult, but I feel like, yeah, man, I get it. I'd rather he went now on a high as a hero than hang in there and not be able to give it 100% and half-arse it, and then midway through next season or end of next season, we have to cut ties with him. I don't want him to hold on. I appreciate the fact he's gone, you know what? I love this club as much as you guys, and if I'm now at 100%, then I'm not prepared to stay here and give you 90%. And he's become a granddad and all that. I get it. We all have moments in our life where we have to make changes. So, yeah, it's going to be horrific. Hopefully we'll never see him in the Premier League again. That would break me heart more than anything else. But it's going to be a weird day, man.
I'll be crying my eyes out. I'll be wearing sunglasses no matter the weather, as I think I will shed a few tears. I'm an emotional fella anyway, but I was telling Gary on the phone before, I'm watching some of these interviews that he's doing, and lads are sending me pictures with him and stuff. I've been crying my eyes out on the drive today, but anyway, we digress, mate. We got you on the show as you are the man in the know with all things fighting, UFC, boxing. One thing I will just pick it up on, which I thought was mad. I actually rang Nick. Gary, I don't know if you knew this a couple of days ago. I got my hair cut by me and Gary go to the same barber, our mate Aaron. And it was one of those, you're having a debate with someone. And he said something which I just thought, that is nonsense. I don't know enough about it, but I know you're chatting shit. I said, I'll ring someone who will know the answer. So I rang Nick. And it was about the UFC Manchester. Do you know about the start times, do you, Gary?
No.
Have you heard about them, yeah?
No.
So I thought it was like me mate had got it wrong, Aaron, but it was 3 o'clock in the morning start time, and then I rang Nick, and if you don't mind explaining, Nick, just why that is.
Yeah, so the actual event in Manchester at the new Co-op Arena, the first fight on will be at 11 o'clock at night. That's the first fight on the prelims. The main cards, just like we get in America when it's in Las Vegas, will start at 3 a.m. UK, which means Tom Aspinall, Leon Edwards, whoever the main event ends up being, won't actually be in the ring in the cage till 5 a.m. The reason being, and we have done that before, Michael Bisping fought Dan Henderson a decade ago in Manchester Arena, and that was the same. We didn't leave the arena till 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun was coming up. And, Joe Calzaghe did it against Jeff Lacey. There's been a few instances when it's happened. The reason it's happening this time, and listen, obviously I'm not a fan of it. I couldn't think of anything worse. No, it's the broadcast rights, ESPN. So ESPN in America pay an absolute fortune for UFC's numbered events to be on a pay-per-view friendly time scale for the North American market. That's where the real money is. Anywhere between $80 and $100 for a pay-per-view in your house over there. So that's where they make their billions of dollars. And in the contract, they're allowed to do 3 numbered events outside of North America in local time zones, which the ESPN will bend over for. And, go on then, put that show on. It'll be like lunchtime on Saturday. That's fine. It'll work, brother. But they're only allowed to do 3 of them, and they've already committed to 3 this year. So there was no way ESPN were going to sign off on a local time start for 3:04, which, from a local perspective is massively disappointing. From a European perspective, it's the biggest fight we're going to get this year in MMA. Leon Edwards and Tom Aspinall in the main event. Honestly, my phone never stopped the people going, get me tickets. In fact, last week, my own barber, funny stuff, what barbers was like, mate, I need 4 tickets. I need tickets. I said, yeah, mate, I'll get you tickets. The first fight's on at 11. And it was like, what? And I was like, yeah, everyone's changed the tune now. Nobody wants to go anymore. No one wants to do an all-nighter because the bars will be shutting as the first fight happens. So It's going to be chaos.
Yeah, that is crazy. Mate, we'll just touch on that.
Getting in there, Andy, on that last round.
Yeah. I'm the same as Nick saying about his mates there. I was keen to go, and then listen, I love the UFC and I like the boxing, but I'm not not as committed to be driving into Manchester at 10 at night and not getting home till 6, 7 in the morning. I mean, I do enjoy watching it, but I'm not that hardcore. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. On that, mate, has the card been packed out anymore? Has it, Nick? Obviously, it's been confirmed about Paddy fighting yet? Is it? And all those rumours and stuff.
No.
Anything else?
No, I think Molly was confirmed this week. Quite a few on the undercard. Arnold Allen's been all but confirmed. Nathaniel Wood has come out and confirmed he's on the card. So quite a few Brits on there with matchups that have been revealed. But in terms of main card, Paddy's opponent is yet to be confirmed. Leon, you'd put your mortgage on it being Bilal Muhammad, but that hasn't actually been officially confirmed as of yet. And likewise, Tom Aspinall. It's going to be one of two. It'll either be Cyril Gann or Curtis Blades, you would have thought. But right now, neither of them have been confirmed either. But Leon, Tom, Paddy, everyone's going to be on there. So it will be a great night.
And before we talk about the main event this weekend, mate, what do you make, and Gary, I haven't even spoke to you about this, what did we make of the news of Darren Till and his fight announcement?
Yeah, and I knew it was coming, obviously. I'm mates with Darren anyway, so I knew he'd been working on a boxing show. A lot of people were thinking he would do a bare knuckle fight with what's his name, the welterweight Mike Perry, because they've got a little bit of history and everything else. And Mike Perry is like the poster boy of bare knuckle boxing these days. And I think they offered him a small fortune as well, if the rumours are true. But I spoke to Till about it, and he said the UFC have released him under the condition that he can have he can fight pro boxing. He can't do anything else. So he's under contract to the UFC still. UFC still is Till. So he can't actually do anything else except the pro boxing match. So I don't think that was ever really on the cards. He's been saying for a while, I'm going to be on the Jake Paul card. I'll fight Jake Paul. I'll do this. And I was thinking, there's no way you're getting a fight with Jake Paul. But I'll tell you what, he's got himself the Chavez fight. Chavez, of course, is living off his dad's name. Even though he was a very high-level boxer himself, he absolutely lives off his dad's name. Last time we seen him, he got his head boxed off by Anderson Silva. Even though this is more of a bigger weight division for them both, I can see Till doing a bit of a number on him. Till's been saying that the rotunda for the last 2 years with Callum Smith and Liam Smith and Josh Taylor. So he's at the very highest level that he's training. So I expect him to do a number on him, and then I expect him to call out Jake Paul afterwards, and he'll probably get that fight now. It's madness.
Wow.
It is madness, yeah. I see him. He's actually running with Tony Clark, my old running coach. He's the guy who coached me to the 10K world record as well. Wow. So it's great seeing him and doing some work with that. So, yeah, brilliant. Mate, we talk about this fight. I know you've been putting loads of stuff out all week, and, it's been on everyone's lips now for the past forever now, doesn't it? But I was joking with Gary last week. I still will not believe it's happening until that bell goes ding ding. I genuinely, I know it's only 48 hours away, 72 hours away. I genuinely still, I'm not 100% convinced it's going to happen still.
I love it, the pessimist. I'm
not normally in every other aspect of my life, but I'm just, I was a massive Tyson Fury fan, and I just think over the years he's just become the biggest walking hypocrite of just, and I know it's all part of the game and the circus and, and all this, but I just a bit fed up with it all. And I'm just, again, I get excited when they're in the ring and when it's happening. Yeah.
Do you want him to get chinned? Do you want Usyk to win now because of your relationship with Fury? Is you've lost all trust in him?
Yeah, I think. Well, actually, you know what? I think. No, I'd like Fury to win. He's English. I want him to win, or I wouldn't be devastated if he gets beat. You know what I mean? Because I do. I think I used to be a massive Fury fan, but I think over the years I've just got fed up with him just back and forth. I'm retiring. No, I'm not. Oh, he's a dosser. Oh, he's a great fighter. Oh, he's this, he's that. And especially, I know it's not his fault, but the rigmarole around with his dad this weekend, and which we'll get into. But I just put a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. Whereas now I wouldn't be as bothered if he gets beat. Whereas a few years ago I was massively on the Tyson Fury train. Whereas, yeah, not as much lately.
Do you think the same? You got the same similar opinion, Gary? Yeah.
No, not at all. I wouldn't say polar opposite. I've got a lot of respect for what Fury's put his mind and his body through over the years. Listen, it wouldn't be the textbook way of fulfilling a sports career by any way, shape or form. But I think the adversity he's come through. I think look, who really knows which matches were made and not made, who pulled out of certain contracts in the AJ side of it. You've heard both sides of it multiple times. I genuinely believe there's not a heavyweight we've seen, certainly on these shows, since Lennox Lewis, who can go in the ring with anyone and has got the skill set and the ability to take anyone apart. He's a huge, huge man. You know, the last time we seen a Brit as big as him who got anywhere near that level was probably David Price in Liverpool. And David, once he had his first big defeat, finds it hard to come back from that. No, I've got a lot of time for Fury. I think all of the noise that goes with it is unfortunate at times and is unbecoming at times, certainly with his dad. But no, I'm a huge Fury fan, and I hope and I still believe that he'll get the job done this weekend.
Yeah,
Sorry, Nick, just on that, in the ring, yeah, amazing his achievements, like you said, what he's overcome. I get all that, but surely there's a bit here that's just like, oh, come on. When he's like, I don't need any money. You know, I drive around in this, and then the next minute he's in a Rolls, and then the next minute that's gotta wear on you both. Come on.
Yeah, and again, we did a series of specials this week. We're doing a live show every day this week, and we started with Fury on Tuesday. We did Usyk yesterday. And during the Fury conversation, it was about trusting your idols, your heroes. And when they let you down and when they say things and then do the exact opposite and everything else, how does that make you feel about them? And when they behave in a certain manner, and as you say, Andy, with Tyson, he's retired 1 minute and then he's fighting for 10 more years the next day and then everything else. But then he has also been very public about his bipolar.
Yeah.
And for anyone that watched that Netflix documentary with his missus and all that, you feel for her because she's, never mind all them kids, she's got one big 6'9", 270-pound kid to deal with as well. Like, he's just spared of the moment. He'll just do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, however he feels like it. That doesn't mean you should pass on everything he said, you know, stuff about giving all his wages to the homeless and all this kind of stuff. It's not true, because the next day he's in Saudi Arabia saying, why should I stand in the queue at customs? I'm Tyson Fury. I'm here to make hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm above everybody else. So it is hard to get a grasp on him as a personality. As a sportsman, pure achievement-wise, his signature wins are up there with any signature wins of any heavyweight of any era. Going to Germany and ending the reign of Klitschko, who had undefeated for 11 years, 22 world title defenses successfully, averaging 2 fights a year, very much at the peak of his powers still, showing no signs of waning, and going over there and comprehensive outboxing him as a massive underdog was huge. Then he walked away from the sport. Then he got massive out of shape. Then his mental health kicked in. Then he was in a real dark place. Then he got dragged back out of that. And then we obviously built towards the first Wilder fight. That's when I think most of us truly fell in love with Tyson Fury. Because wow, look what this man has done. He almost killed himself, literally ruined his body. But he's come all the way back. And now he's going to fight for the biggest prize in sports once again. This is unbelievable. Then obviously the story of the fight, the Lazarus moment, picking himself up in the 12th round. It's all phenomenal, incredible stuff. But you have to look at, when you talk about his position in the history of boxing, look at the period of fights he's had. He's had 35 professional fights. He's had 6 world title fights. 6. 3 of them were against the same fella. When you look at the history of boxing, you talk about Joe Louis or Lennox Lewis or Muhammad Ali, you know, all these kind of names. They had dozens and dozens of world title fights. They had 30, 40, 50% of their career were world title fights. And the reason you need to pick that out is world title fights mean you're generally fighting the best other guys, aren't you? I know there's multiple belts and multiple ranking system and all that shite, but if you're in a world title fight, the guy's at least respectable. The guy's decent at a certain level. Tyson hasn't done that. Like, AJ's had way more world title fights. Deontay Wilder's had 15 world title fights. Okay, you can pick holes in the level of opponents, everything else. But he's consistently fought at a high level. With Tyson, you're basically talking about 2 opponents, let's be honest. Klitschko and then the Deontay Wilder trilogy. Don't get me wrong, massive. But his entire reputation, the Gypsy King, is built on wins over 2 guys. Let's be honest.
No, very good point. Very well made and articulated. But for me, again, I I don't believe I've seen in the heavyweight division anyone as raw, as talented as him. And again, I think it's sad and unfortunate that we've not seen that enough at that level. But here we are, and I still believe, and I'm sure you'd say it, if he wins this weekend, it's got to be AJ next. And if he beats Usyk and he beats AJ, who's to argue them, regardless of how many he's had? You look at the moments and the magnitude of the fights when they've came. He's stood up and he's been counted, hasn't he? So yeah, intriguing. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm desperate to know. You've just spoke about those two shows, Nick. You've went through Usyk's credentials, which are almost flawless as he's moved through. Before you get into, again, probably speaking about Usyk, there's a few question marks, I guess, in his two particular fights at this weight. One being the Derek Chisora one, where I believe he was in trouble. Not in trouble, but I think he had moments in that fight where he looked like he struggled with the weight, like he was, when he was put under pressure, when Chisora had hold of him and gripped him, and obviously the notorious low blow. Those two fights, what's your interpretation of how much we should take from them?
Genuinely, absolutely nothing whatsoever. And I'll tell you why. The Chisora fight, we talked about it in the lead up, and then we talked about it the day after the fight. I truly believe, he fought Chisora in second gear the entire fight. At no point did he put his foot down. He made himself look like heavyweight was too big a step for him. Why would he do that? Why would he carry Chisora for that fight? At no point did it, like against Bellew. Bellew's winning 4 rounds. Bellew's 4 to 5 rounds in, and he's up. He's probably winning the fight 4 or 5 rounds in. Usyk's in second gear, but Bellew's in 5th gear. But when Usyk went up through the gears, Bellew couldn't live with him. At no point against Chisora did he go through the gears. So why didn't he do that? Well, I genuinely think, for the pure reason that he led Anthony Joshua, Eddie Hearn, and everybody at Matchroom went, he's not big enough. Let's get him now. Let's take that reputation now. Let's take the fact that he's unified cruiserweight champion. He was the Olympic gold medalist in the same Olympics as AJ. Let's take him now before he does go into this weight division. And I believe he played him like an absolute fool, which led to the AJ fight. Then in the AJ fight, what did he do? He comprehensively outboxed AJ. Yeah. AJ come out and went, whoa, wait a minute. I got my tactics wrong. I shouldn't have tried to box him. Next time, I'm just going to chin him. So he did a second time. What did he do the second time? He outboxed AJ a second time. So the Chisora thing, 100%, I'll die on a cross to say this. He carried Chisora to get the AJ fight. I believe that's a fact. In terms of the body shot's interesting because he has been dropped before, Usyk, in the amateurs, and it was by a body shot. 2011 World Championships, Artur Beterbiev dropped Usyk with a right hand, and it kind of caught him on the hip, funnily enough, on the belt line again. And Usyk kind of skidded on his bum. Referee started counting. Usyk jumped straight back up, carried on, won that round, won the fight, was world champion. I believe in the Dubois fight, had the referee started counting, I think Usyk would have got up. I think it was the fact that the referee straight away went, oh no, low blow. Usyk was just like, right, okay, sound. I'll take the full 5 minutes, hit whatever I can. When I get back up, this guy thinks I'm hurt now. This guy's going to come at me. And then what happened fundamentally, Dubois didn't come at him. He didn't gamble. And then Usyk took him apart a couple of rounds later. So I don't believe this fallacy about him being soft to the middle. I don't think he is soft to the middle. But when we're talking about Tyson Fury, 6'9", 240, 250, whatever he's going to be, if he hits you in the breadbasket, you're going to feel it. So even if he drops Usyk with a body shot, if everyone goes, see, he's weak to the body, I don't think he is weak to the body. I really don't.
He's just human.
Yeah. Where do you lads kind of sit on Usyk? You've just went through, his unbelievable boxing ability, but where does that kind of fall short when you're talking about a guy who's as big as Fury? I mean, there's got to be a point, hasn't there, where it doesn't matter how good you are, you're just up against the guy who's just way bigger and way heavier. I mean, where kind of are we on that almost seesaw of, is he too big? Is he, where do you sit on that?
I think that's the $1 million question, isn't it? Is Usyk biting off more than he can chew? Because we've never seen a heavyweight like Tyson Fury in the history of boxing. There's never been a guy who's 6'9", walks around at 300 pounds, probably will weigh, usually about 270. We're led to believe he's going to be more like 240, 245. Regardless, he's going to be 30 pounds heavier than Usyk on fight night, at least. With the footwork Tyson's got, with the ring IQ Tyson's got, with the boxing fundamentals that Tyson's got. We've never seen a super heavyweight of this size in the heavyweight division. So I think and when he's switched on, is there a way to beat him when you're fundamentally a smaller guy, when you've got to try and get in that 84-inch reach? That's the million-dollar question. Only Usyk can show us the answers to that, because nobody's beat Tyson Fury. Certainly nobody's outboxed him, which is what Usyk's going to have to do. It's not like Usyk can do a Deontay Wilder, slip one and land a right hand and game over for Tyson. He ain't got that kind of power at this weight division. Can he stop Tyson? I absolutely believe he can. It'd be right down the stretch, and it'd be because he's boxed Tyson's head off and Tyson's taken, unnecessary chances to try and somehow land something. And I think that could happen, which could lead to a stoppage. But I think right now, that is the million-dollar question, Andy. Can he get inside that massive frame of not Tyson Fury? That was a bit of a fat mess. That was awful against Francis Ngannou. The Tyson Fury that chinned Deontay Wilder. The Tyson Fury that outboxed with Vladimir Klitschko. He's got to try and beat that version of Tyson Fury. And I don't know whether anyone can.
Nick, you made the point briefly about a good point about Usyk being in second gear. Could it be argued that Fury was doing exactly the same thing in the previous two fights?
Well, yeah, it could, because he wasn't at the top level, was he? I know the Dillian Whyte fight after post-Wilder, he's only had 5 fights with Sugar Hill. Sugar Hill came in for the second Wilder fight, one of the performances of Tyson's career, one of the best fights I've ever seen. He's still there for the 3rd fight. He's there for the Dillian Whyte. He's there for the Del Boy Chisora. He's there for the Francis Ngannou. But with all due respect, Wilder up here, the threat was up here, undefeated, being told the biggest puncher we've ever seen, all that stuff. That was Tyson dialed in. Dillian Whyte, with all due respect to Dillian, he's a second-tier heavyweight. Tyson knew it. Tyson turned up, done a number on him, easy work. Chisora, Tyson's fought him 55 times before. It's his mate. It was a paycheck for them both. Easy work. Francis Ngannou should have been the easiest work ever. Should have been as easy as it was for AJ. But Tyson thought he could get off the couch, no training whatsoever, which clearly he didn't, because we've seen the state of his body. And he thought he'd go in there and he'd have this UFC guy running at him, punching in all directions, where Francis Ngannou put some work in, come out as a southpaw, boxed really nice, didn't get greedy when he got Tyson hurt. Probably should have beat Tyson Fury that night on points, let's be honest. But that's not the same version of Tyson Fury that we're going to see. So, yes, Tyson Fury absolutely undervalued those opponents. But I don't think it was a case of Tyson Fury playing possum to lure Usyk in. Usyk knows how good Fury is when he wants to be good. I think the difference was Usyk had to look poor against Chisora. So Eddie Hearn and AJ went, whoa, we'll have a bit of this, boys.
I'll tell you what, Nick, if that's a great point, I've never heard it like that. And I think if that is true, we'll never 100% know from him. But, what a move to make. How ballsy you'd have to be to kind of lure people in like that into a false sense of security in order to get those big fights. It's a great kind of conspiracy, if you like. But I think if that's true, then wow, I've got more respect for him.
Usyk was asked about it one time. He was asked about it. It was after the first AJ fight when people went, wait a minute. You're not the same guy who struggled against Chisora. You've just battered the unified champion. What the hell's gone on? And Usyk just giving a little one of them, like a little wink and a little smile as if to go, I don't know, there you go. So maybe that tells you everything you need to know.
Maybe so. Before I kind of get some predictions off you, what do you think, regardless of what you think will happen in the fight, this idea of that there's already apparently a rematch clause in? Because for me, you want to be seeing, I want to be seeing Fury AJ next, but what are your kind of feelings on potentially wouldn't even happen anyway, as I think they're talking about an October rematch already penciled in?
Yeah, I think the deal that the Saudis did with them, as well as being astronomical money, I think Tyson's guaranteed over 80 million. Usyk probably not too far behind. But part of that was it's going to be a 2-fight deal. Now, Uncle Turkey out in Saudi has gone, listen, I'm in control. I'm making the fights I want to see, because I believe they're the fights all fight fans want to see. So AJ, you better get over here, because I think if Tyson wins and wins in style, I don't think there's any need for a rematch. I think Uncle Turkey will say, sorry, Oleksandr, tell you what, here's a couple of quid. Step aside. We're going to do the AJ fight because it's a bigger fight. I think if Usyk wins, then I think we definitely get the rematch. I think whichever way you look at it, I know Usyk brings the belts, but let's be honest, Tyson Fury's the A-side in this. Tyson Fury is the bigger name, the biggest star. The Saudis know it. Everybody knows it. That's why his pay packet will be bigger. If Tyson loses, we get the rematch. I'm confident of that. If Tyson wins, and certainly if he wins in style, I think there's no way we get an Usyk rematch next. Not with AJ waiting in the wings. No chance.
I hear you.
So,
imagine if something happened in the second fight. You know, let's say Tyson knocks him out in 6 rounds. Then we get the second fight. Tyson gets a cut or whatever, and it gets stopped, and we go to points, and maybe Usyk gets it, or maybe he doesn't. Maybe it get called a draw or a no contest. Then we got to go to a third fight, and suddenly the value of AJ is now. You know, does anyone want to see AJ beat Filip Hrgović or Daniel Dubois? I know I fucking don't. Not interested. I want to see him fight Fury, and if Usyk beats Fury, run that shit back. I want to see him do it again.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you for your predictions, but before we end on the predictions, what did you make of all the hoo-ha around John Fury? And I know it's actually it's probably a little bit wrong of me to bring it up because, listen, we're talking about what's going to be a great fight between Tyson. You know, we shouldn't really be talking about his father, John. But after pantomime, and I did leave a sour taste in my mouth just because, you know, Gary's a bigger boxing fan than me. And on the sports show, most weeks, Nick, I'll be honest, I can't stand boxing most weeks, whether it's someone cheating on drugs or whether it's something going on or blah, blah, blah. It's hard for me to fall in love with it the way it kind of used to do. And again, I feel a bit harsh on Tyson because it's not him, but I just thought his dad this week was just disgusting. And I see it on TalkSport this week. Simon Jordan was saying, look, it's always gone on from like Muhammad Ali, who's called an Uncle Tom, was it, to one of his opponents, and you've seen Mike Tyson say he's going to eat someone's kids, and you see all this go on around the fight, so it's nothing new. But to see John Fury just headbutt someone for seemingly nothing, it looked like, and then that's it. It's just that's what John Fury does because he's the Gypsy King's father, and that's what he's allowed to do. It just, I personally didn't like it. I just keen to hear your views on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no place for it. I mean, there's no need for it. I think there's a big enough shot at times, and I'm sure you'll agree, Nick, that there's been some of Tyson's opponents that are not worthy of getting in the ring with him, and maybe it needs that extra bit of needle and extra bit of edge, and you get it, and you kind of go, well, look, just that was probably scripted. Maybe it was to some extent, but there's no need for it. This is a big enough event, a big enough show, a big enough spectacle. 2 fighters that everyone keen and curious to see how the styles come together, and as the big question, can he beat a man as big as Fury? I don't think we need that extra bit of needle. Whether he feels there's a look, he knows. I think what we probably have to accept, John knows his son probably better than anyone here ever will. Whether he feels Tyson needs that extra bit of, I don't know, edge to his fight, whether he was trying to create that animosity, because he clearly respects Oleksandr Usyk, and that's something that is a little bit unusual for Tyson to express that so much pre-fight. Even when I seen a clip a week or so ago where he was asked to rate certain boxers in certain categories, he put Oleksandr Usyk right up there. And whether John feels as though he wants that out the window and he feels that's not going to get the best out of Tyson, I don't know, but I don't feel there's any need for it, personally.
I seen it, and was I surprised by it? No. I think John Fury's just a silly old man who's will forever be in the shadow of his son. And I think he's a fame-hungry bully. And I think it was an absolute abhorrence. And I think if it happens anywhere else in the world, he should have his collar felt, and he should have been arrested. And maybe not charged, because I don't think the lad wanted to, push charges or whatever. But maybe he should have done. Maybe he should have pushed charges, because, hey, Tyson, guess what? Your arm man's in the nick, and we're in Saudi Arabia, so fuck knows what's going to happen. And maybe he's going to get deported tomorrow. If I'm Team Usyk, I'm like, go on, get him pinched. Wouldn't bother me. It'll only affect Tyson Fury. It certainly won't affect me. So I think that by not doing that, maybe they've removed an excuse. Maybe that becomes an excuse then further down the line if Usyk's to win. But if I was part of Team Usyk, I'd have absolutely pushed for him to get Nick. But with John, listen, we're all fucking responsible for John Fury. You know, maybe not on a personal level. He's never been on this show. He's certainly never been on my Fight Disciples show. I wouldn't have him on. But we've all sat there on our phones and laughed at John Fury's antics, haven't we? We've all clicked and watched when he's talking, my son, no man born of these balls or fucking kill Mike Tyson and all that. And we've all laughed at it and we've all created a monster. So now you have a lot of these bedroom boxing websites, not one of these kids who carry phones around and cover boxing, and half the media in Saudi Arabia have never had a fucking journalism lesson in their lives. But all they asked about is clicks, because that's their generation, that's this world. And who generates clicks? Who talks enough shite that'll give you a stupid headline that won't come back on you because he doesn't care what you say about him. He just wants to be a star. Who does it more than John Fury? Absolutely nobody. And we were saying from all this because John Fury couldn't go to America because of his previous jail term conviction. When, you know, he's a nice fella, he gouged someone's eye out. That's the type of person we're talking about. You know, he's a lowlife. But he can travel when it comes to the Middle East, when it comes to European fights. So we're seeing him around Tyson a lot more. And people are putting cameras in his faces. So he's acting up and he's taking these moments. Put it this way, if he was my dad, I'd be fucking embarrassed as hell. And I'd have put him on the next plane home myself.
I do love the irony of, you know, these fights are happening because of the big money in Saudi. In a country where I think it's illegal, isn't it? To be gay, you go to jail for being gay, but you can just headbutt people and that's completely fine. It's like, just the hypocrisy of it all is just bizarre. Anyway, last point then on the fights, on the fight itself. I personally, again, I've not got a dog in the fight. I just want to see a brilliant fight. I think it'll go the distance. And I'd say Fury on points, but listen, you boys are the experts in the boxing. I just want to see it. I just want to see a great fight, and I fancy Fury on points.
Obviously I've gone backwards and forwards, and I can see anything happening in this fight. Like you, I just want boxing as a sport to win just for once. Let's just have a fair outcome in terms of, I don't think we'll get a clean knockout. I think we will get a points decision. I just hope for once in our lives that when the big fight comes around, let's just hope the judges get it right. Let's just hope that the right man gets his arm raised. That's the only thing I'm thinking about. So hopefully the judges do their job, because boxing needs it. If I'm going to be pushed for a winner right now at 138 on Thursday, I'm still impressed by the shape of Tyson Fury. The way Tyson looks, the way he looks out in Saudi, the way he's talking in his interviews. You know, he's not engaging in trash talk because he knows you don't need trash talk against Usyk. It won't affect him anyway. So there's no good talking shite at this point. There's no good screaming and shouting and calling people sausages. It's business now, and he's got his business head on. And when Tyson's got his business head on, and when Tyson's floating around 240, 250, he's in shape, he's done the work, I don't think there's a man in the heavyweight division that can stop him. What you think, Gary?
I'm with you, Nick. We've obviously lost Andy there, but I think Andy admits himself. I don't think he's had much more to add. No, I'm with you. I said, obviously, in me big speech about Tyson before, I'm a big fan of his, and I think it's clear to see if you followed him, and if you follow any sports person, you can see, as you said, when they're on it, when they really got themselves together, when they've had a good camp. Physically, he looks great. I mean, Tyson looking great isn't the definition of, it's not AJ looking great. We're talking about two different, body compositions completely, aren't we? But you can see he shed the fat. I guess the lingering question in terms of how, or I shouldn't say how Oleksandr Usyk can win, because he can win in a number of ways, but how he gets over this big man is, has he got to that point, as it caught up with him, we always talk about people aging overnight, and it happens really quickly, and particularly in boxing, you see it so often, don't you? I mean, we've got Josh Taylor coming up soon, and I think we might see a similar, scenario with Josh Taylor, where he's lost that little bit of sharpness, that little bit of, that little half second that can make such a big difference at this level. Has that come for Tyson Fury? We won't know, will we, until that bell goes, until the first round is over. That would be the big question mark for me. I'm with you. I don't believe that we could, at this moment in time, see a better Tyson Fury in there. Is that going to be, enough to beat Usyk? It's fascinating. It is fascinating. But I'm completely with you, particularly because I wouldn't want to hear Andy moaning about another boxing mishap, whether it be, as you say, because of the judges or a moody decision on a blow or a low blow, or again, it would be a shame for it to end this way or to move on this way. Is it being like a technical knockout cut or something? Obviously, Tyson's had that cut in the build-up. The speculation as to how legitimate the cut was. I don't believe there was anything more than the fact it was a cut. But is that something that can still be opened up? Yeah, maybe not. Probably, you're shaking your head and you're probably right. But I'm with you, mate. I'd love to see it go the distance. I'd love to see both fighters show exactly what they can do. And I don't want to see it in 3 or 4 years' time when Fury's gone and he's finished and we drag them back up again. I want to see it as close to his best. And I think that's got to happen in the next 12 months for us to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we could well see that. I wouldn't be surprised if they got AJ inside the ring afterwards. Especially, as I say, it has to be a clear victory. It can't be a controversial points victory. It has to be a clear victory for Fury. But you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if it was a close, somewhat controversial victory, because I do really rate Usyk that highly. I think technically he's fantastic. And don't forget, Usyk's been preparing for this fight for a long time. He was supposed to get it before the Dubois fight. Then he ended up fighting Dubois instead because Fury wasn't available. Then Fury got the cut, so the fight got pushed back even further. I just think Usyk has achieved all he's achieved because he's such an intelligent fighter. Yeah. He's so good. His feet are so good. His hands are good. But it's the IQ. It's the game planning. It's the ticking every box. The sacrifices he makes 24/7, 365, which Fury doesn't do. Fury does go off and do other things and make Netflix documentaries and take far easier fights. Whereas Usyk's just on the red line. He's defending world titles consistently his entire career. So it's going to be super intriguing. And the first round's going to be mental. Yeah. I don't think a lot's going to happen in the first round, but there's going to be a lot of just sizing each other up, a lot of feints, a lot of, what are you going to do? What am I going to do? Yeah. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, particularly for people like you and Andy was calling, comparing us on the same level. I'm nowhere near I've got nowhere near the knowledge and certainly technically will not be seeing some of the things that you'll see on Saturday night, but I'm sure you'll be glued into every movement, as you say, every shimmy, every feint. You'll be looking at how they sit down on that, on that chair in the corner at the first round. They're looking in their eyes as they're looking into the coaches. It is fascinating. But yeah, listen, thanks for your time, Nick. Sorry we lost Andy there, but it probably allows us to get into a little bit towards the end. I don't think you actually put your neck on the line there, though. You said it's going to be, you think it's your hope boxing will win. Come on, give us your. I'm giving you the £100 now. Where are you putting that money?
100. Well, now that's different. That's different. £100 of your money. I'm going Usyk by knockouts because the odds are brilliant. And it could even happen, but £100 of my own money, I think Tyson Fury on points is the safest bet out there.
Fair enough. No, I agree with you. But again, thanks a lot for your time, Nick. Appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll catch it again soon. See you, mate.
All the best. Time, mate.
Bye-bye.